Super BS.
What up, my brosifs? This is your lovable baby boy Brank. We're coming here with a special episode. I'm being joined by the terrifying, no-gooder, do-badder.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I totally zoned out there.
No!
just Josh today. You know,
Just joshing around.
Josh
man.
3,
I love
2021. Josh 3.
Dude, Josh
Hashtag
3, man.
Josh
This
3.
is exciting, bro. We're already here, E3. This is a special episode. We wanted to do this during the week, but life is crazy, okay? We had to prep all the E3s for you. So we're the ones making the show. I don't know if you knew that. They actually call us. We are hosting and running the entire show as we speak. Yo, my bro stuff. Before we get to all of our cool Dream 3s and stuff, because we got a special guest joining us today, what have you been playing? We'll do a quick runny down of what we've been playing.
Quick rundown. So I started and I finished Horizon Zero Dawn.
Wow, you finished the game?
I did, yeah. I played.
Wow, does it get better at the end? I'm in like the Grave Horde, it's called, where you go and you're underground and you kill I just don't like the combat at all. So every time there's a difficult boss, I don't want to play anymore. So I think it's supposed to be like level 18, but he kills me in one hit. So it's not really fun.
The Grave Horde.
So you go underground into like an old missile base, and there's essentially like a Metal Gear style boss.
Oh yeah. The trick is you just keep rolling and shooting. The regular arrows don't do anything to him, so you need to use the fire arrows, and you blow up the little. Every 5 hits, he lets these little orange glowing tanks down, and then you shoot those things that are attached to him, and they're like his battery cells. He exposes them, and he just explodes after so many hits. But you're pretty close to the end. I'd say you're about 85% done.
Man, it feels like such a slog, man. I'm like level 37, and I want to say that quest is level 18, and I still, I tried the boss for a minute. And he shot me once, and then I died because I didn't have enough healing stuff. Because I hate the healing mechanic in that game. I just don't find it fun at all, having to collect the ingredients and not really. I think you can purchase healing items, but you're really limited to just that main town. Were you able to get through the whole game with no problems?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I guess that really irritated me was I don't like how everywhere you go, those machines see you. You can't You can't do anything in that game without being spotted by machines. So I got to the point where I just started running by them. I stopped caring, and I just started running by them. And granted, I did maybe 40% of the side quests, and then I just got to a point where I'm just playing this, so I'm caught up on when the next one comes out. So I don't really care to do all the side quests. But then you find out at the end of the game that the side quests, the more things you do for people, the more people show up to help you fight the last boss, which makes the last boss easier.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I plan on beating it at some point. I need to move it to my internal PS5 drive because the loading on the X, I have it on external right now, which BT dubs, they have some issues if you plug externals into your PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I had my whole entire console hard reset on me or hard brick on me last night, so I had to go and factory reset it and do all this other nonsense. So just FYI, PS5 is really buggy, and if you plug in externals like I have decided to do, because that internal hard drive is so small, then you're going to have a lot of issues. So just FYI, if you guys are doing that like me and you don't want to have to keep loading and downloading games and all this stuff, know that you might break your system. That's the risk I'm willing to take as well, because it's either that or I can only download Returnal and Ratchet and Clank and one other game, and then the whole hard drive's full.
Yeah,
and that's exaggerating, but it's very close to that. I think I can get 6 games on there.
Yeah, so I mean, yesterday I encountered my first issue with Ratchet and Clank, or not Ratchet and Clank, with the PS5 while trying to install Ratchet and Clank. It would not install the update. My PlayStation just refused to install the update.
I had that the other day with Dreams. Yeah, it finally fixed itself later after I shut it off and came back. But yeah, I there's some weird stuff. I don't know if you've ever looked into the PlayStation stuff, but the way it loads and then it will copy after you download the update, it will copy that to your drive.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a whole nother podcast. Anyways, what else have you been playing besides Horizon Zero Dawn? Which, by the way, before we leave it, so what do you think of it now that you're done?
I mean, it's fun. It's not like, I don't think it's like the amazing action adventure game that everyone like touted it as being, but I mean, it was entertaining. You know, I would give it middle of the road rating, like a 7.5 or an 8, you know, but it's not like it's not a 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but
yeah, no way. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
It has flaws, you know, it definitely has flaws, which I guess like the you know, when we have more time, I'll go more into it. But like, there's just a lot of things in the game that irritate me. Like, they're trying for a game that tries so hard to be like Assassin's Creed and like Breath of the Wild. Like, there's just some things that it really misses, you know. And like a big thing is the lack of the ability to climb everywhere. You can only climb places where there's literally like yellow markers. Like, that was annoying to me.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think they're supposed to fix that for Forbidden West, and we've talked about this to no end, but the fact that game came out like 2 weeks before Breath of the Wild really showcased just the design decisions that I think now were aged very poorly very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were like cool decisions at the time before Breath of the Wild came out. Then 3 weeks later, Breath of the Wild came out. It's like, oh, you can climb anything. You know, and obviously we've had Assassin's Creed and stuff in the past, but there were a lot more games that limited your climbing options before, you know, this. And that's like a Sony thing, you know, like even Ghost of Tsushima, like there were climbing paths. Yes, there were more of them than Horizon, but that's just what they like to do. They don't like you to have like that endless options because that's really hard to program and make look beautiful. So if they're like worrying about every finger hold, they got to make sure that they can check and test every finger hold to make sure it's worthwhile.
Right.
But you got a PS5. You're finally getting into the games. What have you played on it?
So I played, as far as PS5 games go, we talked about Sackboy. I played that a little bit. It's pretty fun.
Oh.
It reminds me of Yoshi's Dream, Yoshi's Yarn.
Yoshi's Woolly World or Yoshi's Yarn?
Whatever one is on Switch is the one it reminds me of.
I think it's Yoshi's Woolly World, but I can't remember, man. And I know you picked that up when it was cheap one time. I just think those games are so boring. Like, I tried the demo, and I couldn't even convince myself to play more than like 10 minutes of it. So as beautiful as it looked, like, it just has no challenge.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's, at least with like Sackboy, is kind of, you have to find things hidden within the levels, you know? Like, Yoshi, you're looking for, I think it's stars, I want to say, in that game, but like...
I don't know. I didn't really get too far.
There's certain things you need to like unlock the next thing. And Sackboy is the same exact thing, but they have like bonus things to look for within the levels, and that helps you like buy gear and customize what your guy looks like.
Okay, well there were two huge titles that came out this week. Have you had a chance to try either of those?
Okay, so just an update on what I've got. I found Godfall on Amazon for $20, which I picked up.
Nice. Have you turned it on yet?
No, I haven't. I was waiting for my internet to go back on.
I think it's a live service game, so I don't even think you could play without internet.
Yeah, so I got that. I got Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and I know you tried. I have not started it yet, so I mean, I want to hear your thoughts on it. But I also picked up Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart. So I know we had talked about this a bit off podcast. The ratings that this game is getting, like but the review ratings it's getting, like, it's crazy to me because it's getting like solid 9s, and it's not a 9.
Yeah.
You know, it's not it showcases what the PS5 can do, but it's not like breathtaking. It's a 3D platformer, you know, it's not like it's not a 9. You know, I would give it like a 7.5, but it's not like fun enough, I guess, to be a 9. Like, there's nothing. They don't reinvent the wheel by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm curious why they're giving it such high marks.
So I think a lot of that has to do with it being an early title for the PS5, and the Sony fan base really likes the Sony console and ecosystem. Like, Returnal is a perfect example of a game that I personally don't think is that great. And I think most people, when they get a little bit further away from it, don't seem to go back. Like, if you hear the Giant Bomb dudes, like, the second they stop playing, they're like, I don't really need to go back to it, you know?
Right.
Ratchet and Clank, I do think is extremely fun. I think in a world where Crackdown 3 could get an 8, I could see Ratchet and Clank getting a 9. But because of the review world that we live in, where like Microsoft titles generally get 6s and 7s, this is not a 9 title if we're living in those bounds, you know? Right. To me, like a 9 title, if we're, going to have like an equal system, is Super Mario Odyssey. You know what I mean? Like a game that does a lot of really cool things. That's close to a 10, but that's like a 9, Whereas like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is beautiful and it's fairly fun. Like I'm almost outside of what I would call the tutorial area. It does feel like there's a lot of tutorialization in this one. I'm like gone through multiple cutscenes and it's very fun, but I also like yearn to just be able to play the game, which I'm hoping will be coming soon. I think I've almost got there because when I do play, it is fun. I do really enjoy it. I like I said, I don't think it's a Odyssey level of like platformer, but I do think it's probably, like you said, 7.5, 8. I could totally see an 8. Like I do enjoy these games a lot. And if it gets incredible, I could even imagine 8.5. But a lot of this review hype we're seeing is because of Sony. It is because it's Sony and because it's a PS5 exclusive. A lot of people want more of those. I mean, you'll listen to IGN reviewers talk about like the only reason why they even have an Xbox is because they work for IGN. Like they don't even care, like they would rather not do it.
Disclosing that is not very professional in itself.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, but that's the world we live in. We live in an extremely biased, totally subjective world, and somehow everybody on Earth is cool with that at this point. Like you don't need objectivity and you don't need to be unbiased, whether that's in the news or games or whatever. You just don't need it anymore. People don't care. So I don't know. In that way though, out of games I see getting a 9, like I believe I enjoy Ratchet and Clank more than Horizon if I'm like comparing to weird comparisons to Sony titles. Yeah. So I would rather see Ratchet and Clank get a 9 than like Horizon, where like, yes, Horizon's beautiful, and yes, shooting the bow is fun, but the rest of the game is, I don't know. I didn't really love it. I found like there was way too much like BS with it came to like killing the monsters finding you wherever you are, the monsters like overwhelming you, and it not being fun in any way. Yeah. But are you just at the beginning of Ratchet and Clank? How far are you? I'm about 2 hours in.
Okay, I'm about 40% through the game.
You're already 40% through Rift Apart?
Yeah. Well, I mean, wow. So here's the thing though. I haven't been just playing it myself. Like my kids have been playing it too. So they're, when I'm not playing, they're playing. So they've played a lot more than I have, but I've probably played a good like 3 hours of it. I think I played an hour and a half last night. I played an hour and a half this morning.
You don't want to do like different save files so you could experience the whole thing? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to it eventually. I just in this house, anytime I put the controller down,
somebody picks it up.
Somebody picks it up. Like even if I pause it, someone will pick it up and unpause it. So I have to like.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to give a tutorial on how to like change save files.
Oh, yeah. And that is kind of a confusing thing. And it's very easy for save files to be overwritten. And especially with like the way the saves are autosaves. Like you can't like click, start, and then go to save. You can't teach them that way. You have to make them a profile that can access the game. So in that way, it is a lot more complicated. My niece and nephew have, my brother-in-law taught them and they are able to do it. But, you could teach them. It's just a matter of, wanting to set up those profiles and do all those things. The other big title is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Did you get a chance to even turn it on yet? Are you in the download phase?
I have not. My internet just got back up and running yesterday. So I'll work on it today. But yeah, tell me about it. I'm curious.
So yeah, it's really beautiful. I have the disc version. I decided to only spend $20 and get the intermix. What is the DLC called? It's like Intermission. Okay. I spend the $20 because if you have the any purchased version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, you get a free upgrade to the PS5 version, but you don't get the Yuffie DLC. You have to either buy the game again for $70, which I know that's what you decided to do, or you spend $20 and you get just the DLC, and then the other game gets upgraded graphically. I started it. I enjoy it. You and I have talked off air a lot about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I do find it fun when I play it, but I'm never compelled to play it or go back to it. I don't know if it's because I don't want to miss stuff. Like, I don't know what part of my brain is like, I don't want to turn this on. Like, it feels like work. But whatever that is, like, I've played it for about 2 hours. I feel like the whole thing is, or no, maybe not even 2 hours, maybe like 45 minutes. I think the whole thing's only supposed to be 3 to 5 hours in length. There's a lot of like side quest stuff, so I do plan to engage with that. I did try the Fort Condor stuff, which is like a Clash Royale style tower defense little thing where you make a guy and they all cancel each other out and they go after the base, and it's like an auto thing and you just build the little minions. But that being said, like I do really enjoy it. It is really beautiful. It's just we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake a lot. It is not my cup of tea in some ways. Like, I really do love it, but I don't want to play it. That sounds so weird.
No, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, because I'm trying to like think about what makes that game so much different from the other Final Fantasies, and it's the fact that we haven't encountered the open world yet in the game, and I'm sure maybe that'll happen with like part 2, or they might not even do an open world. But in this game, it's a shopping list game. It tells you what to do. Like, you don't have the freedom to really explore like you do in other Final Fantasies. It's just like it tells you what to do. It gives you a task, and you go and do that task. And outside the side quests, the very few and vanilla side quests, there's not really a lot to engage in the game outside of what you're being told to do.
And I think that's a big thing I have an issue with the new Final Fantasy VII Remake, is that the original, the Midgar section was extremely linear, but it was also fairly short. It was maybe like 4 or 5 hours, and then you were done with it, and you moved out to the open world, and then the game kind of began. And it would push you along, but in those old school game style ways, like side quests weren't really a thing, so I never really thought of them. So I just would play the game and have fun, level up, and screw around with whatever they had in front of me. The problem with this is side quests are a thing. They are vanilla. I don't want to miss any of them because the game is like not very big otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't have a lot of ways to level up or grind to gain experience. So things can be way more challenging if you don't engage in the side quests. And the thing that even makes it more stressful, which is the thing that, Dr. Donna and you and I will talk about a lot off air all the time, is it's very easy to go on the main path without knowing it all the time, and like Final Fantasy VII Remake does a good job of being like, hey, if you go here, this is the main story, these are side quests. But sometimes, like, I don't want to do the side quests. I do want to propel the main story, but I can't, because if you do that, you can't go back to do the side quests. It's a very linear chapter-based game.
Yeah, it locks you out on certain things, and that's why there's some I forget what quest it is, like where you're looking for like a witch or something in the game, and like you have to go, you have to know that there's like an offshoot on the path that you're going on, and if you miss your opportunity to hit that offshoot, then that sucks for you because you can't go back to it.
Yeah, you got to restart the chapter at the beginning or do a new game plus. And I'm sure there are a ton of people who love that. When I think about making my own game, I even think of ideas like that. But the games that I enjoy the most are games that generally don't lock you. I just hate that feeling of like, oh, I missed the thing, I can't go back. The only way to go back is a new game plus. Yeah. It's just unlikely I'm ever going to do that new game plus.
Yeah.
Unless the game is super short.
Right. And you get a weird feeling of like FOMO, right? When you're like, this happens to me in every game. I mean, I guess up until like the new like Xbox One, PS4 generation, you don't have to worry about that because you're looking for like trinkets for trophies and stuff. But like, I always want to go off into these rooms because I don't know what's there that I'm going to miss out on, and it's like in Horizon, you have to find power cells and you lose the opportunity to find these power cells after certain points in the game. So I'm trying to make sure I hit every little nook and cranny everywhere I can because I don't know what I'm going to get locked out of next time. Like in the old generation of Xbox and PlayStations, you don't have to worry about that, right? They had like some stuff that was prevalent to the lore, but it's really just like a poster or something on a computer screen. But now, like if you're a completionist, they always have things hidden in rooms that you got to go. And if you miss it, you're screwed. You can't go back to it.
Yeah, I do feel that same sense of like struggling, and I could be our age too. I don't want to put it all just on the games because like we are getting older, so we have less time. So when something is like very time consuming and you could potentially miss out on one of the coolest parts of the game, it is frustrating, especially because like I don't love using guides anymore. I didn't mind them as much when I was younger. But guides have become something I just don't enjoy.
Prima, remember the Prima strategy guides?
Yeah, I used to get Brady games. For all the Final Fantasy games, I had Brady Games guides, and they were so well made. I bought them for every single Final Fantasy up to 13, and that was the last game I bought a guide for. I almost bought it for 15 too, just for the nostalgia sake. But I didn't get it.
You almost needed them for Final Fantasy games, just because they had nice elaborate walkthroughs on the internet, but nothing that like really gave you a visual of like what you're getting into. So,
and where the items are and all those things. That I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't really gone back. I did 7 not too long ago on the Vita, and I just kind of, because like I said, side quests there's no like side quest tab. I just kind of skipped all of them, and I got to the end of the game, and that's where it starts opening up. And I stupidly looked at a guide, and it's like, oh, you should do this quest and this quest and this quest, and they're all required to be level 99, and I just couldn't be bothered. I was like level 40, and I didn't want to have to like look up, okay, this is where you go to do this grind, blah, blah, blah. It's just, that's not how I engage with games anymore. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I mean, we saw that with people were complaining about Assassin's Creed Odyssey back in the day for selling XP booster, which was totally unnecessary, but people didn't want to feel like they were not getting the proper XP just because time has become a lot more valuable, especially more games, everything.
And that's that whole like I guess microtransaction thing. If you're someone who doesn't have time to play games, it's and you're willing to spend the money, it's an okay option, I suppose.
Yeah, man. It looks like our special guest is getting a little lost. I would love it if he could join us for this next section, but I think because we do have a limited amount of time and we're doing this during E3 weekend, I think we should first, if it's okay with you, tell people that this is Super BS, a podcast about video games, mostly, as you can guess by now. And then 2, talk about the Summer Games Fest. Before we do some predictions for tomorrow's Microsoft Showcase and, maybe Nintendo, and just put like 5 predictions out and maybe a Dream 3 wish list, we should talk about yesterday's Showcase. I was curious what you thought of it. The Geoff Keighley's Summer Games Fest, I think it was called.
Yeah, it was a lot more than I thought it would be. Last year there was something like this. I don't know if Geoff Keighley did it, but like there was something like that, and it was a small showcase, and they had smaller titles. There was a lot of good stuff here. This is, I guess one thing that could be said that's good about the lack of E3 in person is that these indie games get a lot more spotlight, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that I am probably interested in playing. You have
there's, if you have the time, there's like the Guerrilla Collective, which was over 2 weekends. It was we're recording this on Saturday, June 12th. Hopefully you're hearing this Saturday, June 12th, because some of this stuff's going to age pretty poorly. But the Guerrilla Collective had a showcase today and last week. I didn't get a chance to watch those. Those were tons of indie games. They had, oh my goodness, I can't remember, like World of Delight or Wholesome Direct. They had like all these different showcases while we're speaking. The Ubisoft E3 press conference going on, Ubisoft Forward, and it's I'm watching it off to the side. If you're watching a video of this and seeing why I'm looking up, it's what it is. It's not terrible, but it's not incredible. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of ways to showcase your game right now, and I feel like you said you got a chance to chat with some devs, and we might have that up on the Super BS stream this week, hopefully.
Most definitely. Yeah, I got to chat with people at Freedom Games. Check out their thing on Monday. I think it goes on at like 12 or 12:30 in the afternoon. But yeah, I talked about a nice RPG and another game called Cat Cafe Manager. And that's another thing. I love that since game devs are having to work from home, there's a lot of business simulators coming out, and they're actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I think there's so many games out there. There's games for everyone. That's the neat thing. Like you're talking about a Cat Cafe Manager game. Like, I mean, these are games like you can't even imagine them spending time on. And I watched a trailer for Unmetal, I think it was called.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a parody of Metal Gear Solid, and it looked like stupid, but it was actually pretty funny. The jokes were good, which is not something I normally say in video games. But yeah, man, I'm really excited for this E3. I feel like it's going to be a weird one. I don't know if we're going to get the type of predictions that we normally want, but let's run over at least like, I think 4 of the biggest things that were shown yesterday. Let's kick off with the thing that I am not super stoked on, but I think you might be interested in. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I want to say is the title.
Yeah, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. They had the girl, I forget what her name is, but she does the voice of
Ashley
Tiny
Birch.
Tina. Yeah, she came out, spoke with Geoff Keighley. They showed the trailer. They didn't show any gameplay, but I'm pretty sure they're saving that for their conference later today.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what that game is. Like, I don't know if it's still going to be a shooter like what was the DLC for Borderlands 2? Dragon Keep, Assault and Dragon Keep?
Yeah,
No,
well, that's what this whole thing is inspired by. I don't think there's, and they showed in the trailer that one of the characters had guns, so maybe it is.
I was hoping it was going to be swords and sorcery style, like first-person shooter RPG, just because we don't get that, like, ever. And I don't know if it's because it's not fun, but it would be cool to have something different from just Borderlands formula of a million guns, but this time set in, like, a fantasy world, you know, where you're just shooting stuff.
Yeah, because you can do magic in this. I think that was the big thing. Well, they said so. They go, this is a Borderlands game, but it isn't a Borderlands game. Like if you've played Borderlands, you'll like it, and if you haven't played Borderlands, it's a good place to start. So that's very cryptic, and I'm sure we'll know more by the end of today. But
isn't it wild that they started that trailer with like cast like celebrity, like not an A-list, but like a B-list cast, and it's like in my way, that was such or in my idea, that's such a weird way to try to sell a game. Is like Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, Wanda Sykes, and Wanda Sykes. Come on, I mean, when's the last time we've even heard of her?
Cast,
but like,
SNL,
most of that cast, even besides Andy Samberg, like they've seen their better days. But my biggest thing isn't even really that. It's more like that's not why people are driven to play games. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if I've ever thought of a game and been like, oh, I'm going to play that because that guy's in it, you know? Yeah. I've thought that's neat when there's actors I like in it, but I've never, I didn't go to Fallout 3 because Liam Neeson was a voice in it, you know?
Right. So I forgot about that.
It's just such a weird idea. I'm hoping that game's good. I've shared my complaints about Borderlands 3 so many times on pretty much anywhere that I could talk about it. I don't know if we talked about it on this new, season 2, if you will, of Super BS, but my biggest issues really are like limited characters. I guess you can supposedly customize your character this time, which is good. Limited classes. I just feel like the whole thing is like a game from 360. Like they just did not make the upgrades for Borderlands 3 that they needed to. And the few times I played with you and my friends, it was fun. But beyond playing with people, it is a boring slog fest of running through a very confusing dungeon with a horrible map system, trying to just do whatever quest you can. So I know you feel slightly different about the Borderlands series, but they're going to have to do a lot to sell me on Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I really just want to know what it is, and I'm hoping that their conference that they have will have more information on that. Do you think they'll have any other big announcements for things that people might actually be interested in? Because I know they're outside Borderlands. There's not really a lot going on with them.
Oh, you mean for Gearbox?
Yeah.
Oh, I have. We can talk about some predictions in a hot minute, but we'll finish up Summer Game Fest. But Gearbox, I am not going to predict anything, man. I mean, they are they did Doom and Colonial Marines, and otherwise they just have done like I don't know, man. They're not my favorite, I guess, publisher, but also developer. Yes. They're just like a weird company. But I'm going to bring up something that I thought was really, really cool from the Summer Games Fest that isn't like the big tent poles at the beginning and the end. It was Metal Slug Tactics. It is a game by Dotemu, and they're the company that did the Streets of Rage 4 and a few other things. But yeah, Metal Slug Tactics, I thought, just looked so beautiful. It was the second game in the showcase. I love tactics games. And I just thought that art style was killer. The Streets of Rage 4 devs can't wait for it, even though that wasn't my game. But that's still like that was probably outside of the end Elden Ring. Metal Slug Tactics was my game of Summer Games Fest. Otherwise, I thought the whole showcase was okay. I heard Kind of Funny Games rated today as like a B- to a B+ range. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what it deserves. It was an hour and 45-minute showcase with probably not even 9 big announcements, probably like 6 big announcements, if you can even call them big, like, a Tunic update, a few games update, a Valorant character, nothing too crazy. But so Metal Slug Tactics for me, did you have anything that stuck out to you before we get to the other 2 big ones?
Yeah, Blacktail actually looked really cool to me, where you're the the witch, or you're a young Baba Yaga from Russian mythology, and you have this bow and arrow, and you're basically going around and you're helping missing children. Like, it looks like a really neat concept. Like, that was one that really stuck out to me.
Oh wow, I'm just looking at this right now. I totally missed it. You know what? I was leaving for work during the Summer Games Fest, so I actually missed the second half of it. So I didn't even get to see the Elden Ring announcement at the time of launch. I watched it later that night. This looks like it could be pretty cool, man. Still, the bummer about it and Metal Slug is no release date.
No release dates. Barely any of this stuff got release dates. It's unfortunate.
The third weird tentpole before we get to I think the biggest thing that was announced, but the third weird tentpole was the Hideo Kojima interview. Did you get a chance to watch that or no?
Yeah, he sounds like a cool guy, but he just kind of ranted and rambled, and then they showed that Death Stranding thing where it was obviously a shout out to Metal Gear Solid because of the whole box thing, but if the game Death Stranding was not that, people didn't like that. So I'm curious, why they're toting a director's cut, because that's another thing I keep hearing from Sony fanboys. Well, we're getting another exclusive in a Death Stranding director's cut. Like, oh, okay, how many of you guys are actually going to be picking that one up?
Yeah, so I never got around to playing Death Stranding. I watched it at a friend's house. It does not look like a fun game. That being said, there are some cool moments with music. So if this comes out and I can pick it up for $20, or if it's a free update for the current Death Stranding, which I've seen for $20 multiple times, I may actually pick up the game and try it out. Mm-hmm. It's not a game I plan on finishing. I want to play maybe 4 hours of it just to see the world, because to be honest with you, the little I saw looks kind of miserable. But if it's cheap enough, I do want to experience. They have a really cool soundtrack for it, with churches and a bunch of bands, and they use that music at really cool moments that are really cinematic.
Yeah.
But the actual enemies that you see, they suck, and the darkness or whatever it's called, the sludge is awful and it's not fun. And there's just a whole lot of bad choices that they decide to do that you're just whoa, okay, whatever,
Right.
But yeah, I thought that whole thing was strange. It also sounded like Hideo Kojima maybe thinks he's a prophet. So he said he was worried because every game he makes is coming true, because Death Stranding was about a world where people are afraid of seeing each other and you're delivering packages from door to door, because there's been I wasn't sure if it's a virus. I think it is a virus that's wiped out all of humanity. So anyways, it was a weird conference thing. And the video call was ultra strange because he was really distraught. I also wonder if he's going to be working for Xbox soon, because there is a rumor that they're picking up Hideo Kojima's studio.
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, he needs. I don't know. He does not need to have free reign over things. I don't think he makes the right decisions always.
He's a George Lucas.
Yeah, right. That's a perfect metaphor for him. He's just, I think Microsoft could really rein him in and make his stuff good. He's got good ideas and he's talented. Yeah. He's just needs to realize that he's not God.
Yeah, that is. What do you mean he's not God? He is God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, let's get to the biggest thing, just so we can do some predictions and a little bit of Dream 3 Elden Ring. It was something I actually expected at the Microsoft conference, if at all, this year. I had seen that there was a leak that went, that the Amazon had put it up for pre-order, but I was like, okay, I'll still kind of be surprised if Geoff Keighley gets it for Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
But boy, that looks cool. I've never finished a Dark Souls game or Sekiro or Bloodborne. I've got to the very end, but I like all of those, I'm definitely going to be trying it out. I can't wait to get me some Elden Ring.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really great. It looks like a very, very dark world, something that would be dreamed up in the mind of Dante Alighieri, his Divine Comedy. Yeah. It has a very dark and ominous feel to it, and the world feels very hopeless, and something about that intrigues me.
Yeah, I think the thing I think I'm most interested in by it isn't even the game itself, which I'm sure is going to be fun, but it's more the idea of, did George R.R. Martin do anything, or did he just put his name out there and maybe write the paragraph that they have on their website?
No, he created the lore in the game.
But do you think he actually did? That guy is like notoriously slow with every single thing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like one of those producer credits where he wrote, a paragraph and was like, yeah, maybe the world should be like this, like kind of probably what he gave to David Weiss, I think was his name, the showrunners of Game of Thrones, where like a lot of people are thinking he like gave him like rough notes on what the ending would be like. And that's why the show ended the way it did, where it's like he wasn't planning on getting into that place that way.
They use him as guinea pigs, and he's like, "Oh, maybe that didn't work so well. People didn't really like that, so I'm going to change it when I'm a million years old and I finish the books."
Yeah, I'm curious. I do love his old books, but I heard the guys who used to be part of the Giant Bomb cast now are Nextlanders. Just a shout out to them, Vinny Caravelle, Brad Shoemaker, and Alex Navarro. They just released a new podcast and Patreon, all that junk. Really neat.
Really?
Yeah, they have an episode up. It's pretty cool. It's like a dad cast, pretty much, because they're all older. But
what's it called?
Nextlander, Nextlander. Anyways, they mentioned that like it's going to be really hard to get back into that book series. Just aside from George R. R. Martin, if or when it ever comes out. So like I kind of feel that way too. I read Dance with Dragons like 2011, and we're in 2021. So, we got a guest on. I love this. I'm reading a big dog. Is that what I've heard? There's a large dog that has joined the podcast. What's up, bro? We are stoked to have you here. I don't know if you've been on a Super BS yet. Have you?
I don't think so.
People probably recognize your dulcet tones from Topicopolis, a topic-based podcast. Yes. Also, that the terrible, horrific Josh has a show run before. But yeah, the most reviled person on earth,
or revered. It's up to them. It's
no, it's actually mainly reviled. Everybody
we did a poll.
Voted. We did the poll. Sorry, you're reviled, not revered. Let's get that out of the way. You're done. Okay, Big Dog, you actually joined us at the perfect moment. We have just kind of gone over what has been E3 so far, which isn't a ton. We're talking about Elden Ring. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that video.
I haven't.
Okay, it looked pretty cool. But mainly what we want to do today is do some predictions for what we think is going to be shown pretty much at the Microsoft conference, the Square Enix conference, or the Nintendo conference, because literally as we're doing this right now, the Ubisoft conference is going on, and they're showing us Valhalla, Siege of Paris. So before we kick it off to the guests, just so you can get your feet wet, Josh, what is a real prediction before we do a Dream 3 wish list of the dreams that we wish, the games that we wish were going to be shown? What is something you think is actually going to happen, like in the next 2 days, 3 days?
So I think we're going to get a glimpse at the new Fable.
You think gameplay will be shown?
I think gameplay will be shown.
Ooh,
I think there's going to be a Gear, and this one could be totally off, but I think there's going to be a Gear spin-off of some kind, whether it's Judgment or another tactics-based game. There's going to, because they can't, I don't know how far into development Gear 6 is, but they can't go another, they're going to put something out because that's one of their like flagship titles. I also think that we are going to. Halo's pretty obvious. I'm not even going to touch that one. I also think that we are going to get a solid release date for Senua's Sacrifice, or not Sacrifice. Oh wow,
that's cool. Did you ever play that game, Big Dog? Hellblade?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like it? I didn't get to the end. I only played like the beginning half of it. It was neat, but I struggled with like an early puzzle, and I was just like, I don't.
It was frustrating. I had to do the old school, like I had to look it up how to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to do that for one of the puzzles too.
Same. Yeah.
I haven't had to use a game guide in forever.
Same. That was why I was so frustrated. There was like a door early on, and they gave you like this really cryptic puzzle solution. And I was just like, what am I doing? And
I was stuck on that for a while. Then I was like, screw this. I'm just going to look up how to do it.
Well, it's in the beginning. They have those like gates, and it's like the first thing you encounter is like a bunch of gates, and you have to figure out how to open it, but the person you fight keeps coming back to life. So that was kind of annoying. But I mean, in retrospect, though, I think what made that game so great outside like the general message and the mental health stuff they put in there, I think it was the fact that for such a small game, the combat was so well put together.
Yeah, I liked the fighting I finally got to, which I didn't get very far. So I finally got to one fight, and it was fun.
It was fun.
But I don't know. I am excited for that. Big Dog, do you have any predictions for let's just start with the Microsoft one. Maybe we'll skip the Square Enix one because I think everything that we've heard is rumored will probably come out for Final Fantasy Origins, probably Final Fantasy 16. Otherwise, none of us have a lot on the line for Square Enix. So any prediction for Microsoft tomorrow?
Other than like the like what Josh said, the Fable and Halo, I heard rumors, and I'm hoping that because Microsoft's been working with Lucasfilm on remaking Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, I heard of that too. I'm hoping that happens, man. That game's great.
Yeah, I heard that they might not do it this year, but someone said that they might be trying to get a trailer out of them or some kind of footage of something. So we might see something.
That would be cool. I really, even if the games aren't coming out this year, I hope Microsoft just pulls that Sony 2016, 2017 conference where every game that people have wanted gets shown. Like,
it was the holy grail of E3s where everybody got everything they wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, and those games took forever, to be fair, and that's not the way I like conferences to go. But I would love people just to take a break from Sony praising for a minute and be stoked on E3, even if the games aren't. Because
wait, this podcast is sponsored by Sony. What are you?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We only do Sony sponsored content.
This is really awkward now.
But yeah, I don't really see Microsoft actually having a lot coming out this year. I'm still hopeful that Starfield will make it the Bethesda title.
I heard a lot of stuff about Starfield.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that even if it's early 2022, like just show us something.
Because they even said in the was it the banner where it obviously showed Halo Infinite or whatever, but then someone said that the planet on the bottom half of the banner is the Starfield planet.
Oh, okay, that'd be cool.
So they're thinking they're going to drop something.
Man, I think the Microsoft conference is the most exciting because they have I forgot how many studios, 30 some studios. So it's there's so much potential on top of games.
One other one that I was hoping to see, or at least I've seen gameplay footage, but release date would be Falling Frontier. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's like an RTS. It's like if you've ever seen the show The Expanse.
I do know of The Expanse. I haven't watched it.
It's kind of like that, based off of that.
Here. Oh, Falling Frontier. Yeah, okay, this looks really cool. No, I haven't seen this at all. Have you seen it, Josh?
No, sorry, I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, this is cool. It's like a space combat RTS. I'm trying to kind of reminds me of I don't know if you guys ever played the game Homeworld. I never got deep into it, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. Back in the day. But yeah, that could be cool. I mean, Microsoft's also supposed to show off Age of Empires 4, which I've always been a fan of that series. So if I ever get a PC,
I haven't played Age of Empires in forever.
Oh man, those games were so good though. I didn't play 3. I tried it once and it just wasn't for me, which is a bummer because I like the setting, like Colonial America. But
it's on Games Pass, right? You can play it on if you have a PC Games Pass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you can play I think Age of Empires 2 Definitive's there too, as well as maybe even 1. I don't know if they redid Age of Mythology, which was a fun one, because that was a weird, I think kind of Microsoft studio mixed with the guys who did...
Don't you remember Coach Ian was a big fan of that game? Age of Mythology.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and then what's the janitor used to always play that in his little closet that he had.
He also played he played Civilization. I remember that guy playing Civilization.
Yeah, because he locked himself in the computer lab.
Yeah, dude, that guy is so
didn't someone put a wiener? Someone drew a wiener in his shop. Do you remember that? And he couldn't wash it. It was on the wall, and he couldn't wash it off. So every time he walked by, there's just a giant junk drawn on the wall.
How could he not wash it off? I don't get how it would be what they would use.
Either he couldn't, or he just chose not to. I don't know.
He didn't want it, man. Got to keep that dong on the wall.
You like that big veiny bastard.
Yeah. So let's get to a little bit of predicting for Nintendo. My prediction is Breath of the Wild 2 is not going to be this year. I wish it was. I'm thinking early 2022. And we're going to get hopefully a couple more remasters of Zelda titles. This is their 25th, 30th anniversary. One of the anniversaries.
Do you think one of those will end up being Ocarina of Time?
I really hope. I mean, even if it's just an up-res 3DS port, as long as they do more work than they did on Super Mario 3D All-Stars 2 or whatever, the game that we revile every time we talk about it. As long as they do a little bit more work than that, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get something like that. I'm leaning heavily towards them making an announcement about a Metroid game that we won't see for 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, I hope if they show Metroid again, they're showing it to be like, hey, it's coming out before the next E3. Doesn't have to come out this year, but they can't do it. They should have not ever shown that logo when they didn't have a team making it. Just to me, it's no good.
Well, and this is something that both Sony and Nintendo are infamous for. Like, we're gonna get a bunch of like banners and videos, but we're not going to get any release dates for any of this stuff. Like, we'll get the release dates for the stuff that has to come out during holiday season, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple surprise announcements, but I don't think we're going to get any release dates for anything that's beyond 2021.
Well, yeah, I will say that that Sony or that Nintendo has gotten a lot better about this.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be super bad, like you're saying, in the Wii U era, where no one was buying their console, so they kept like being like, "Please buy our console. This might come out." But now I would say that most stuff they show is like, "Hey, it's coming out in 6 months." Hey, this is what's coming out. This is this. That all the stuff that we've been waiting on was all shown in that one conference. No More Heroes 3, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Bayonetta 3. Metroid Prime 4. I think that was all that 1 year, like 2017. Yeah. And since then, I don't know if they've done anything that's like been like, oh man, this is coming out, and then it's like, nope, never came out. So I'm hoping that they really knock it out of the park. We don't have too much more time for a show, so I want to do what we call Dream 3 wish list. You can present these any ways you want, but I want you guys to talk about at least one. We can go around at least one time, see if we've got a second round in us. One time around the circle, and talk about a title that you want to see announced. Preferably something that is unlikely, but it would like make your dream wish list. If you want, so you guys have a second to do it, I will kick it off. I'm going to kick it off with something that if you are a fan of Super BS or you've listened to us in the past, you will recognize this because this is still on my Dream 3 wish list.
Croc 3.
I envision Croc 3. Yes, that's Croc. It's a Croc game. That's all Super BS is. It's Croc jokes and Reggie Fils-Aimé like jumping on the top of roofs jokes or giving us calls. Yeah, so here's what my prediction is. It's in the Microsoft conference. We see a train blazing by. A silhouette of a man with like auburn gold hair is like on the top with a blaster in his hand. The next scene is like a spaceship flying into a port. The next scene is like a guy jumping from a canyon with a jetpack on his back. Then you start seeing like a Hoth speeder on the snow. And then all of a sudden you see IG-88. And sure enough, he gets shot, and there he is, Dash Rendar. I still believe, and that is the police coming to arrest me because they know I'm crazy. I still one second. I still believe that that a Shadows of the Empire 2 needs to happen, and a Shadows of the Empire remake must come with it. And I will put that on my Dream 3 wish list till the day that arrives. I want that game. I need that game. It needs to happen. It's stupid that it's taken this long.
That would be I would be ready for that. I have that on Nintendo 64, and I remember it fondly.
Did you ever play that, Big Dog?
Which one?
Shadows of the Empire?
Yes, of course.
Dude, that game was so good back in the day. I just remember like the Boba Fett Canyon area. Like that level sucked because it was so long, but it was also the first level where you got the jetpack. So you had to kind of like learn how to like jump around. Man, imagine how good that game would be if you could actually control the character easily and you knew where you were shooting. And instead of like linear levels, it maybe had like more of an open world.
So just an updated Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, I actually never played Bounty Hunter. Was it pretty good?
It was fairly good. It was Jango Fett. It was all just him.
Yeah, but was it like that style thing where you still have like levels where you're in spaceships and you're driving around on speeder bikes, or is it just like
it had the speeder bike stuff? I think it had the spaceship stuff though.
Okay, yeah, because that's one of the things that always bums me about modern games is a lot of them are like very concerned about doing genre crossing, so they all kind of stay in their lane. So it's like a first-person shooter, maybe you'll have a vehicle, but probably not even because they don't want to deal with vehicle controls. Yeah. So it's like you just run through these corridors. Just so our guest Big Dog has time to prepare something crazy. What are you thinking, Josh 3, 2021?
So this is my go-to every year. We kind of got this in the form of a DLC last year, but I am really hoping that they'll make that Alan Wake 2 announcement.
Oh, geez.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, like we'll have this black screen, and you'll just hear a narrator's voice going on there, and hear some clicking on a typewriter, and then you'll hear it. You'll hear, and in the shadows, I emerged.
Will it be connected to Control this time? Will there be somehow like he's like part of that house or going to the oldest house or whatever it's called?
Maybe he works for them. Maybe he works as part of that agency. And
isn't that like, I didn't finish Control, but isn't that the DLC like story?
Yeah. Well, I haven't finished it either, but what I know is that she finds him. You know, like I don't know how it ends. I want to play it. I need to get to it. But I know like she encounters him. And for a special package for those who are celebrating Pride Week, just to be all the corporations are showing their rainbow flags.
I believe it's a month now, I've been told.
So
Pride year.
The black screen fades into rainbows, and they're like new special DLC where Alan Wake changes his gender and changes it to Alice Wake.
Oh, man, you're going to get us canceled.
I thought I read that some game got in trouble because they refused to add like all different kind of genders. It was either a man or a woman. And
it was Assassin's Creed.
Was it that? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was years ago. So they said it would be too hard to animate like a female body. So people got really crazy angry, and whatever. This is right?
I think it was. I think it was the new character of the next Assassin's Creed is going to be like non-binary or something. I don't know. Like no romance.
This one is. This one is non-binary. Eivor, like I didn't choose the non-binary option, but if you choose that, then the character, spoiler, I didn't get to it, so I'm never going to see it. But like, spoiler is the character changes their gender midway through the thing.
Oh,
so I didn't know Vikings did that.
Yeah, I mean that's you didn't know that, man. How are you so?
Do you even history, bro?
Yeah, it's even history, bro. How are you so ignorant? Okay,
at this point, it doesn't matter to me. I just want a good story here. I just don't want to like have to, I don't know, feel like I don't relate to characters anymore.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, that stuff's crazy. But Big Dog, what is that game that you want to see that you're probably like, I'm never going to see this, but this is your Dream 3. This is the thing you're making. You're bringing it to life.
A good Mass Effect game.
Oh, that's impossible.
That is the dream, isn't it?
You might as well give up on that hope and kill yourself. This is a podcast for bullies.
The closer I inch to finishing Mass Effect 3 for the 100th time, I'm going to pull that trigger.
Oh, no. I was joking. I wasn't trying to be an actual bully. We'll get canceled for bully stuff now, too. I don't know. Mass Effect Andromeda is not as bad, I think, as people think. I went back and
I went back and tried to play it again. It's as bad as everybody thought it was.
Really? I went back and turned it on, and I think I had such low expectations that when I got to the part where you had talked to people, I was like, this is okay. I don't think it's good, but it's
I didn't like any of the characters. Nothing about it. I mean, it didn't grab me. There wasn't interesting. The story wasn't that interesting. I mean, it was just like
we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake being the shopping cart, like a shopping list game. Mass Effect Andromeda is the ultimate shopping list game. Like you just go down the list.
I didn't get far enough to see what you guys saw. I just barely got to the station. There's like that station where you get, and I was like, once I got there, I enjoyed it so much more. I only played that station. I shut it off because I don't think it's a good game. But but before that, like that intro was so bad that I put it down for like 5 years. And I turned it back on when there was like a Game Pass quest to like do
Josh
something.
with Dragon Age.
Oh my gosh, I still...
What Dragon Age did you stop?
The first one. He couldn't get out of the castle at the beginning of the game, and he says, I'll never play this again.
I love the first Dragon Age, but I only got like it is a slog, so I got to like the end, and I was like, I'm done. I did
beat it, and they've progressively gotten away from the first one.
Yeah,
but my only problem is they're just getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah,
really. Okay, so Dragon Age Inquisition, I loved. I thought
a great game.
Yeah, same. Yeah, Dragon Age 2 was the one where I fell off immediately. I got to it super
more
late.
Of a button masher.
Yeah. So I loved a lot of people hated Inquisition because it was like there was a checklist. There was a lot of stuff to do in every zone. But I generally enjoyed everything I did. And then I loved talking to all the teammates.
I play it for the RPG elements.
Yeah. Yes, totally. That's kind of how I felt. Same way. But Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this E3 though. I think it's going to be really good. I don't think it's going to be like the best E3 ever because a lot of these companies are working from home now, and that's just you're not going to get the same productivity you get in an office.
And it's unfortunate too because this is kind of a make it or break it moment for Microsoft. You know, if they don't have at least 3 big titles hit the market by holiday season, I feel like their good graces are not going to be as good anymore.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things that you got to remember about Microsoft is like, while I will agree that they need to have stuff, they have like 30 studios and they haven't put out a big title in almost a whole year. Mm-hmm. And the big title they put out last year was like Bleeding Edge and Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is like technically like, you know, friend studios, if you will. So yeah, I would say like they are probably going to have 3 big titles this year. My guess is they're going to have at least 1 big Bethesda title. Even if it's not Starfield, there's a rumor that Arcane Studios, the company that made Dishonored and Prey, they also have another
Elder Scrolls.
What?
Elder Scrolls, damn it.
Yeah, that's burning up the wrong tree. That's going to be like 4 more years. But anyways, so you're probably going to get at least 1. There's potential also Wolfenstein might come out, Wolfenstein 3. So you're talking at least 2. But probably closer to 3 or 4 games just from Halo and those 3. You've got Psychonauts 2, which I know is multi-platform. That's coming out soon. There's just so much stuff. Like Microsoft, it's their show to lose, as people have said. Like they have shown next to nothing. So unless they told all their studios they could take a break for a year and pay them, which would be the first time in the world that a company's been like, oh, let's give you all millions of dollars and not do any work. Totally possible. But unless they did that, there is going to be stuff shown tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know when it's coming out. I assume at least 3 titles will be out by the end of this year. But they have a 90-minute press conference. There's rumor that there's going to be a new Forza Horizon. There's Halo Infinite supposed to launch. There's rumor that Starfield may launch. There's Project Omen. There's talk of Fable. There's the Perfect Dark game they teased. There's Everwild. They have like an infographic that somebody showed, or infographic or whatever it's called. And there are so many titles. Like if they don't blow us like out of the water, at least in some ways, by showing 3 to 4 titles that launch in before next E3, I'll be amazed. I literally will think like, well, they've given up and they don't really care about games.
Well, besides Halo, we need at least 1 other big title to launch before holidays or during holidays.
Well, I'm almost positive, and we've talked about this, and this was one of my predictions last week, and I'll put it out here. I'm almost positive Psychonauts 2 is going to launch this summer, maybe even tomorrow with the showcase. Now, that's not a AAA title, but that's a game that's going to be on Game Pass. Then they've got The Ascent, which they're going to show off, which is not a huge title either. It's like a top-down Diablo-like shooter that's co-op, so it's fun for friends. That's coming out July. They're probably going to have like a bunch of titles launching soon. Now, are those the biggest titles? No, but is Baldur's Gate or Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance or whatever it's called a Game Pass title coming out next week? Yeah, so they're going to probably talk about that. Is the rumor that what is it? There's a new rumor that one of the games coming out is Game Pass as well. The new Battlefield 6 is supposed to be Game Pass. There's just so many Game Pass games that even if they're not like these big Microsoft exclusives, they're essentially free with a service. So you can bet they're going to show those off.
Have you guys heard anything about the Microsoft making TVs with Xboxes built into them?
Yeah, that was announced yesterday. Yeah, so we'll see what that actually means. Yeah. So their whole thing has always been like consoles are like cool, and for people like us who maybe want to experience games the best way possible for the easiest way without building a PC or something, then that's the way to do it. But if you just want to play games with xCloud coming out, you don't need a console. You use your phone. You just need to spend like $10 a month, you know? And I think that is something neat. Is that the way I like things? Not really. But do I think that's still like a cool thing that doesn't hurt me? You know what I mean? Like as long as they keep releasing games, it's more options for people. Like now if I want, when I'm playing a game and I'm out, I can bring my phone, an Xbox controller, or an iPad and an Xbox controller.
As long as you got
like
Bluetooth.
that stuff. Yeah, that's stuff that
you simply logging into their servers, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a mobile gaming console. Yeah, is it going to be as good as a game on your console? No,
probably not.
It's cloud. But it's not. I don't have to pay anything for it. That's part of the thing I already paid for on my console. Yeah, yes, definitely. So I think Microsoft stuff's going to be weird, but I don't think they'd spend, what was it, $7 billion on Bethesda or some number like that. Let me see. I think it might even been acquisition price.
Well, you'd think everybody'd be cautious after the whole CD Projekt Red fiasco.
Yeah, well, yes, they're not going to announce anything that's too soon, but the Bethesda acquisition was $7.5 billion. You don't buy something like that without expecting a lot of return. So I think, and Bethesda,
I think something in the pipeline that shows them that this is worth the investment.
Yeah, and Bethesda, I think itself has 15 studios under it or some amount like that. I can't remember, but it was a lot. So it's like, I think your wish of 3 studios is going to be granted. Now, do I think those are all going to be games for us? I don't know. I think Halo's going to be dope. Like, I enjoyed Halo Guardians, which is like the most hated one. I thought that was still fun. I played co-op with my brother-in-law. That game is great. Played the multiplayer bunch. Super fun. I played that stupid, crazy giant mode they had before everybody did Battle Royales. Do you guys remember that? Where it's like 2 teams, there's PvE, and there's like 30 players on each side, and you're running around using cards. It was in the new Halo 5 when it came out. Like it was called.
Yeah, no, I didn't spend a lot of time in that multiplayer.
Okay, so all that stuff was great, and I have no doubt they'll match that, if not more. You know, there's potential the Halo Battle Royale is going to be there because they're saying the Halo multiplayer is its own free service that you get. But the cool thing is unlike Sony, where, you know, like Josh just spent $150 after tax on 2 games. These games are coming to like a service that you spend $15 a month if you didn't get it on sale, and you'll get to play them. And whether they're like, I love Crackdown 3. I loved it because I didn't spend any money on it, and it was fun. You know, like it was. I don't know if it's worth $60, but I had so much fun with that game for free.
Well, you think how many games are out there that you wouldn't pay for, but you probably enjoy the shit out of them?
Yeah, a lot of the ones on Games Pass I wouldn't have paid for, but I've had good experience. Like Night in the Woods is a perfect example. Like I enjoyed it, but would I have paid $20 for it? No, not at all.
Or Maneater, that game that just came out. Our friend
the sharks,
Don was talking about. Like that game is wonderful. That game is totally worth playing on Game Pass. Like that service is what Microsoft is now. You know, like so it's weird. Like we're talking about this, but we're talking about essentially 3 totally different companies. A company like Sony that does games the way we always did it. A company like Microsoft that's essentially trying to invent a service better than Netflix for gaming. And Nintendo, this old, weird handheld hybrid from like the 90s that makes great games, but they just do whatever the hell they want to do. And I think that's why this E3 is exciting.
And people love them.
Okay, my bros. Anything else you guys want to add before we got to hit the dusty trail?
No, I mean, next week we'll have some thoughts on what's actually happened. Hopefully we're right.
Well, hopefully Big Dog can join us again, because this was like a super short episode, and we'll talk to you about like stuff you've been playing and junk. That'd be really rad to have you speak with us, because we've been a lonely twosome for too long.
For sure.
Okay?
I gotta just give me a little bit more heads up. I can do some more research.
I will never give you heads up. I will give you 1 minute because I'll say, "Oh, we're gonna record right now. You want to do it?" And we'll give you a heads up. Yeah. All right, dudes. Well, peace. Let's enjoy the C3. I'm sure there'll be lots of chatter.
Peace.
Later.